Nothing will stand in our way.
God of War's 30 or so hours of story and exploration is all done with one camera shot. It's a very nice technique. It's a technique we've seen plenty of times in movies and television, but not so much in video games. I think it's seriously effective in God of War, but especially later on as well with the big kind of story moments. But it actually almost never happened. The studio and the director were kind of butting heads about it, and they couldn't. The director had to actually convince his team to follow through with this, because it's obviously a big job to get it done, to tell the entire game in one camera shot. This is pretty good gaming. My name is Mike Williams. This is Gareth Evans.
Hey.
So the single camera shot, the camera is always following Kratos. It doesn't fade to black. It doesn't hard cut at any point. You go from gameplay to cutscene so seamlessly that you're never even thinking about it. You're just taking in the story. I mean, what do you think it adds? Do you think it adds to the experience? Was it worth going to the extra effort, first of all, of having that single camera shot in there through the entire game?
It's one of them that you generally wouldn't notice if you're just playing the game, but it's only when someone draws attention to it, you're like, yeah, that is a thing. But it definitely adds a lot to me. And immersion-wise, I'm all about immersion in gaming. I love my immersion and just feeling like you're the character, feeling like you're experiencing the same experiences as them. And it definitely adds a whole different level of immersion.
So the idea from Cory Barlog, the game's director, was to enforce the perspective. So you're kind of looking at the entire thing from Kratos' point of view, and it definitely succeeds there. What I think it does especially well is that it holds your focus, because the game is constantly giving you story and dialogue and information and details about the world. There's never a break in it. There's never a chance to pick up your phone or look away or anything like that. You have to pause the game yourself to do that. There's never a natural moment where you'll just subconsciously tune out a little bit, where the game, in another game, it'll just, the gameplay is finished, now we're doing a cutscene, and it cuts to a cutscene, and then you have that kind of subconscious break in your mind where you might look at your phone, you might reach for your cup of tea or whatever. This isn't like that. You're always looking at the screen to see what's coming next. And I think that is, for me, is the biggest achievement there. And again, it makes sure you're seeing everything from Kratos' point of view. It's Kratos' perspective on the whole thing, right? Well, that one massive feature, in my opinion, literally the window you have into the game, the way you look at the game, is a pretty big deal. That almost never made it in. The game's director, Cory Barlog, has been speaking to Polygon this week. He says the pushback from within the studio for his vision of this single shot, his team thought it would waste a lot of time. I mean, that's pretty understandable, right? If you're a developer, you're like, well, is it worth it? That's an understandable concern, I suppose.
You've got a lot of work on anyway as a developer. There's loads of stuff to do, right? And then somebody from above's telling you, well, I want to do it in this very specific way that's going to add loads of work for you, because it's got to be some sort of technical, logical barrier, right? To have to follow the character around and have to show on screen when there's no cutscenes, right? So everything happens with the camera moving, all the characters moving. It's like a dance in a way, and to achieve that throughout the whole of the game is a technological achievement in itself.
And it really is consistent. It really is like the whole time. It's just this one shot, and there are tricks and like sleight of hand moments and stuff where things happen that kind of break it away a little bit. When you fast travel, we mentioned in our kind of spoiler-free review, I think, when you kind of fast travel in the game, there is this moment where the screen just flashes white, and it's like a white cut, and then Kratos disappears for a moment, he reappears somewhere else, and then you're kind of running around the load. You are being the loading screen rather than looking at a loading screen, and that's the only moment that is kind of stretched in any way for me. Yeah. But there are things like that. But otherwise, the payoff for it, the good things about it, are so strong, in my opinion, that it was definitely worth it. And obviously, it's not an easy thing to do for the development team.
Of course. Here's
some of what Cory Barlog said to Polygon. Quote, they had to take it on faith that when I was saying, like, look, you're going to get a sense of immediacy and connection to these characters, an unrelenting feel to the adventure that you can't get in any other way, and I can't cite something else. Sometimes we had to pull a few little tricks, but we're talking about 6 to 8 tricks in all of the whole game. The rest of it is just an absurd amount of planning and technical tricks. 40% of the team came to me after the game was done, and they played it, and they finally said, oh, I get it now. I didn't agree with any of your decisions on this. I thought we were wasting a lot of time. I don't want to do this ever again, but now I play it and I get it. Okay, this is cool. This is how we should totally do this from now on. So his team was won over only at literally the point of playing the game. So right up to the release, when the game was going gold, they were probably going, "This is stupid, man. We didn't need to do it." Do you know what I mean?
Maybe they saw the Metacritic score and thought, well, maybe
hang on
it did. Maybe he was right. 95, maybe he had something going.
Yeah. So fair play on two fronts there. Fair play to the team, first of all, for kind of sticking with the Cory Barlog through all this, and despite not agreeing, carrying on with their jobs and doing it, and to Cory Barlog for sticking to his guns and having all these creative people in his face going, this isn't a good idea, and sticking to it and carrying it out. One thing I think that you can bet your ass now is that other games will do this.
I think so. I think definitely, because they see the success, and that's one thing that we picked up, that we've been following recently, is that all these big studios in the games industry, they see what's succeeding, they analyse it, what's good about that game. Let's copy, let's see if we can get our version of that game. We saw recently with EA talking about their own battle royale, what's worked with Fortnite and what's worked with PUBG. And they just want to copy it because they want the same level of success.
Yeah, and God of War has been a success. It's the second highest selling game of the year behind Far Cry. Far Cry is a multi-platform game, so it's got the edge there. And God of War still is the second highest selling game of the year. So it's obviously been a financial success as well already. It's kind of paid off that artistic commitment, because what it's got is glowing reviews, and then it's had them glowing reviews for a week and a half before the game comes out. That is hand in hand with a heavy marketing campaign. PlayStation and Sony have gone all out on it. The PlayStation YouTube channel is full of all these little featurettes and stuff, all about God of War, and they've really gone all out on it. And you need to have a good game with some kind of artistic conviction to be able to keep telling people it's the greatest game ever made and all that. And that's what Sony have been doing, and that's what some of the reviews have been saying as well. So I think it really pays off. I really enjoy the single camera shot thing. I'm really glad it's there. I imagine if there are games that have hinted at it before, like The Last of Us and stuff, and where a cutscene kind of ends and then the camera just pans back behind the shoulder, and then you're playing, which is lovely. It's really nice technique, and it's evolved into this now, where the whole game is that one shot, and it definitely works. Like I said before, it holds your attention. You can't look away from it. Yeah.
And talking about the creative decision of making that, and I watched an interview with Cory Barlog with Skiller that he did the day after Metacritic reviews were unveiled, I guess. And he was saying, and there's like an interview where he was in a car with him, he was saying about doubt being the biggest killer. I mean, I'll read a quote for you. There is no formula to the success. There's no way to distill it down. But if I had to gun to the head, I would say that it is, in a single phrase, fuck doubt. Doubt kills more dreams than fear ever will. As a creative in any industry, you are your worst critics, and doubt basically prevents you from taking risks. And I am plagued with doubt. And this is Cory Barlog, the game director, the guy who's got to convince his team of that this single shot thing is going to be it's going to work. And he goes on to say that he has to project confidence to his team to make people believe, even though he doesn't believe it himself sometimes. And this is a quote: "The single shot camera was a huge deal that everybody doubted, even me. Halfway through, I was like, what am I doing?" So that goes, it lands into that thing. Like he's made a creative decision, but he's not sure about it himself. But he has to convince the other team around him. Yeah. Eventually, he pulls it off to critical acclaim. Everybody loves the game because he followed through with it, and it just goes to show. I mean, as a creative, I mean, I know how he feels. I mean, I'm the kind of person who doubts himself all the time over pretty much everything. And I
thought you were going like creative genius to creative genius.
I wasn't going to go there. I was going to say that this is quite an endearing thing of him, right? Just to
very
acknowledge
open.
his limitations and say, well, I'm not always sure about everything, but still, and I like that about him. Yeah. I think everything that I've seen. Yeah. He seems like a nice
He's done
guy.
that video, hasn't he? Of course, famously by now, where he kind of live reacted to the reviews coming in and kind of talking about what it meant, and him as a father, because it's a father-son story and all that. And he's wearing his heart on his sleeve, and he's kind of gone through a lot of stuff, it seems, personally making this game, as I'm sure a lot of developers do, because it's a huge, it takes years and years to make a game like this, taxing time because you know the crunch and everything, and then on top of that you're pushing your team a little bit further just to get your idea of doing this one game, a 16-hour story with like a 30-hour exploration and everything on top if you want, doing all that in one camera shot. He had to try and do that and try and get his team to do it and push all those people further, probably making them work extra hours and stuff like that to get it done. And the payoff is here in the highest rated PS4 exclusive that there is on the console.
That video is really great as well. If anyone's seen it, it's been seen loads.
Yeah, we'll check a link in the description.
But he refreshes the Metacritic before he's seen the score, right? So he goes in blind. He loves to do that. Sat on his own. He said he put the camera on and he sits there and he goes, "Holy shit!" And then it's like a whole minute almost later where he's like, "It's 93." Obviously, before it inched up to 95, and he was weeping the whole time because he was so like taken aback by it. It was such a really awesome video, touching moment.
Yeah, so there you go. That's the story of the God of War single camera shot. We thought it was really effective. We think it really works. Let us know what you think of it down in the comments below. Do you think it was worth putting in the extra effort to get that single camera shot? Let us know what you think about this. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. There'll be another video on your screens in just a second if you want to watch that, and a link to Patreon if you want to support the channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
My son, we do not fight because the world makes us fight. We fight for a greater purpose. We forge into the